This Bucks-Lakers game was out of control. Double overtime, crazy comeback by the Lakers. No LeBron in the game either, and this is a massive win for the Lakers as we're going to talk about, but I also think it was an interesting indicator of what both of these teams are going to look like in the postseason, assuming the Lakers make it. And it's especially interesting to look at where the Bucks are now post All-Star break with a little bit more experience with Doc Rivers and how much different they are compared to the Coach Bud teams of the previous years, as well as who they were pre-All-Star break with Adrian Griffin as the coach. And the biggest difference for me is they're definitely an offensive-centric team now, where yes, their defense has been better post All-Star break, but they are still kind of in this mold of a team that is going to try and outscore you, which is just a different mindset and a different philosophy than they had when Coach Bud was the coach. I mean, yes, they shot a ton of threes and they could score well, but they were a defensive-minded team with Coach Bud there. They were always one of the best defensive teams in the league every season during the regular season, of course, with Drew Holiday and Giannis, Brook Lopez, all of those guys being in contention for Defensive Player of the Year consideration every single season. And not that the Bucks can't guard, they definitely have gotten better after the All-Star break, but there's just so much more of an emphasis on just trying to outscore the other team. And a lot of that comes from just a ton more Giannis Dame pick and roll. We saw that in this game. We've seen it for the last couple of weeks. It's something that Adrian Griffin never really fully leaned into, and it's something that Milwaukee didn't really have available to them in previous seasons before adding Damian Lillard, because Chris Middleton and Drew Holiday are good on-ball creators, but they're not on the level and they're not the threat level of someone like Damian Lillard. And so having Giannis as a screener and a roller, which, by the way, is not a role that a lot of stars would be excited to take on, and Giannis has been able to do that. It's been really, really impactful and successful, and you can see it just in these clips. It's an incredibly difficult play to guard with the shooting ability of Dame, even though his numbers haven't been fantastic this season, and then just how devastating Giannis can be on the short roll, getting all the way to the rim as a lob threat, pick and pop, and then drive. There's so many options out of that for Milwaukee, and it's pretty clear that that's going to be kind of their bread and butter as they get into the postseason. And again, it's something they just didn't really lean into in the beginning of the year, and they haven't really had the personnel to be able to use it a ton in previous years either. And Chris Middleton has been back as well, and that just adds another creator for them. Like I said, not on the level of Dame, not the same level of threat, but someone that they have relied upon in postseasons past as an on-ball creator in some of that Giannis pick and roll stuff. And just having him back is a huge, huge difference maker for them. But of course, they end up blowing this game. They have a huge lead in the first quarter. No LeBron. It just kind of seems like, okay, the Lakers are going to pack this one in. But when you look at the standings, the Lakers really need this game. They're trying just to stay in the play-in game. They're also chasing down potentially Phoenix for the 8th spot. And the difference in the play-in game between being the 8th seed and the 9th seed is actually massive. And as of this win, the Lakers are 2 games back of Phoenix, and they have the tiebreaker. So if they make up those 2 games, they will be the 8 and the Suns will be the 9. There's a ton going on in the play-in right now in the West between the Lakers and the Suns, as I just mentioned, the Warriors and the Rockets, of course. And this is a huge win without LeBron against a good Milwaukee team. We got to make this comeback. And a lot of what this came down to was something that we're going to see for the Lakers in the postseason, assuming LeBron is healthy, and that is they can definitely still be a threat on certain nights, but they need a lot of things to go well. Of course, this was an unbelievable Anthony Davis game, especially throughout the entirety of the comeback. His jump shot has looked much better lately. They got great contributions from some of the guys on the edges. Not a huge Spencer Dinwiddie guy, but he was fine. And this really is what it's going to have to look like for the Lakers as they go into the postseason, right? Is it's going to be healthy LeBron and AD being awesome, and then the other guys playing well. And in this game, especially, the other guy that was playing really well was Austin Reaves. And when you think about the Lakers making a run in the postseason last year, obviously the expectations aren't super high for them at the moment this year, but I mean, they did make the conference finals last year. Like, this team definitely can still be a threat, and if they're going to be, it's going to be because of Austin Reaves plays like this. Him as a creator, as a floor spacer, as someone that gets to the free throw line is just so important for them, because even as good as someone like D'Lo has been this year, Reaves just fits kind of the postseason mold a little bit better because of his ability to get to the free throw line. And we saw that last year in the postseason. I made videos about it, talking about how the Lakers were willing, and LeBron specifically were willing to let Austin Reaves run stuff for them in the postseason. I mean, LeBron was on the wing watching Austin Reaves create in ball screens, which is, one, a sign of the confidence level they have in him, but also a sign of, LeBron understanding he's not going to be able to carry the team offensively for entire games. Obviously, he wasn't healthy last year, probably won't be healthy going into the postseason this year either, but this comeback was definitely indicative of what the Lakers are going to need to look like in order to be able to potentially be a threat, whether it be in the play-in or in the postseason, with great contributions from Reaves, great Anthony Davis games, and then hopefully when LeBron comes back and is healthy, great LeBron games games as well. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean that they're going to be some kind of huge threat. I mean, even if they do win in the play-in game, whether they're the 8 or the 9 or the 10, whatever the case may be, they're going to have some crazy competition at the top of the Western Conference. But we saw that last year as well. I mean, Memphis was good last year, some untimely injuries. The Lakers played really well, and they were able to get out of the first round. So it's not completely inconceivable that Lakers can still be a threat in the postseason and make a run, because we literally just saw it last year. Now, I think the top of the Western Conference and a couple of teams they would be playing at the top of the conference are better than they potentially would have been last year. But still, just a really interesting game to look at, kind of the contrasting styles for Milwaukee in terms of, the 3 different coaches that they've had in the last 12 months with, Coach Bud and then Adrian Griffin and Doc Rivers, and kind of the difference in those styles, and still a very dangerous team, right? I mean, I think at some points throughout the year, we've maybe forgotten a little bit about Milwaukee and maybe not talked enough about Giannis as we should. He still had an incredible season. He's still trying to figure out, that pick and roll chemistry with Damian Lillard. And, I still have plenty of doubts about Milwaukee, especially defensively, even though the numbers have been better lately. But I'm never going to feel comfortable betting against, Giannis in a postseason series. I'm never going to feel comfortable going against this Bucks team with the amount of talent that they have and some of the runs, obviously, they've made in the past of the postseason with championship experience on that roster. And I think this game, although obviously they gave up this huge lead and didn't look very good in the fourth quarter at all, is just an interesting, showcase of their new style now here post All-Star break and with Doc Rivers there. And then, for the Lakers moving forward, we're just going to have to see. I mean, these next couple of weeks, these next, 6-8 weeks are going to be very informative in terms of what's going to happen for this team going into the postseason and then the offseason as well. Whether LeBron decides to return or retire or potentially switch teams, or how much money they're willing to invest in a new extension for LeBron, what else they're going to be willing to do with the roster if they do bring back LeBron and then still keep AD, kind of what other pieces they're going to be willing to add, how much money they're going to be willing to spend. I think this postseason, if they somehow end up making another run, they win a series or they get back to the conference finals somehow, is definitely going to, allow the front office to be more comfortable continuing to go all in. But there's also a scenario where the Lakers lose in the play-in game and they don't even play in an actual playoff series. There's a scenario where they're the 10 seed in the playoffs. In the play-in. There's a scenario where, they get swept in the first round. And at that point, it can start to feel like, okay, the run is over. This era of Lakers basketball is over. And whether it be, with LeBron potentially leaving or retiring, or maybe even looking at Anthony Davis trades, whatever the case may be, this is definitely a big couple week stretch here for the future of Lakers basketball. And the one final point I want to make here is that Anthony Davis, as much as we talk about, maybe we don't talk enough about Giannis, he has just had an unbelievable season. And I think this game is certainly indicative of that. He's been, pretty healthy, especially compared to how he's been the last couple of seasons. His per game numbers are incredible. The fact that this Lakers team has been able to play as well as they have, even in some of these games without LeBron, is just a huge testament to how incredible Anthony Davis still is. And as much as we think about, LeBron as kind of the main guy with the Lakers and what the future Lakers basketball is going to look like, even if they are without LeBron next year or whatever happens with him, if they still have Anthony Davis on the roster, this is still going to be a competitive team. They're going to have an opportunity to continue to add talent around him, and just an unbelievable performance here in this game for him, but just also in general, a little bit of love and appreciation for Anthony Davis here at the end.